Well, good morning and welcome. URC's weekly series of webinars, our award-winning MX HomePro. I'm Hank Eisengrein on behalf of everybody at URC. Welcome. Let's take a look and we'll get started with MX HomePro programming. So what is MX HomePro? Well, it's a system that's just about 2 years old, and it gives us two-way feedback, free apps, cloud programming for free, off-site programming for the dealer, and off-site access for the end user, all with quick, easy setup. Now, if you're based in the U.S., for the remainder of this month, December 2018, we have a promotion, and you'll see that promotion gives us $100 off packages with the H500 hub and the R500 remote, the elegant R700 remote and the H500 hub. We even have a package with the old IR and RF Complete Control 890 and MRF 350. Now, URC's been in business about 28 years, and we're one of the world leaders in supplying remote controls and smart home technology. And MX HomePro gives us the ability to use two new tools from URC headquarters. Once we complete this task, we're going to start programming a 6-device system, and you'll see how quick and easy it is. The first thing is you may have been involved with URC for a number of years, and there's various different websites we've had. Our public website, the old URC University, which went away, the URC Control Room, which is still active, but there's a new website called URC Portal. And we want you all to sign up for the URC Portal. So I've opened up the page here, urcportal.com, and you'll see in the upper right it says register for Portal. Now this is free. You don't have to share an account. If you buy in the US from the URC account representative, you're a direct dealer. If you buy outside of the US from a distributor, you're international. If you buy inside the US from a distributor, you're indirect. You simply complete this form, and this is verified by a live human at URC headquarters. So at the bottom where it says W9 document, if you don't have access to that, you can send a business license or you can send business card. And then when you click register, you'll get back a welcome email in a timely fashion from URC headquarters. Why are we doing this? Because this gives us dealer control over the newest information site. And you'll notice if I sign in and I go here to Training Home, there's 3 choices on tabs. You'll see there is in-person training, which we've completed for 2018, webinar, which you're on one of the webinars right now as we speak. And then very important is self-paced tutorial. HomePro, leave the dialog box empty, hit search. These are 7 to 9 minute videos you could take at any time. And some of them have quizzes. Highly recommended is Now Playing button, which uses if-else statements and shows you how to create a Now Playing button. So that's the benefit of the URC portal. There is also mxhomepro.com. Now we're going to start programming a system. First, if you're new to MX HomePro, you need an account. So you go to mxhomepro.com and you click Help. You go down to here where it says Apply for a dealer account, and you're going to get a form, and this gives you two things in one. You'll be verified by URC headquarters by a live human, not a robot, and you'll get a cloud account for MX HomePro. And you're going to create that cloud account, and you're going to reference all your jobs in the cloud. You'll also get a Z-Wave account, which can be used standalone with the TRF-CW2 and the URC Home Z-Wave app. So if you do that, you can have both accounts for free. If you're a longtime URC Z-Wave account holder, you don't need to have a new one. You can use your old Z-Wave account. So once again, I got that by going to mxhomepro.com, help, and apply for a dealer account. The very first time you start, you're going to go to register a new system here, and you'll notice the pull down for the hub. The cloud will give you a programming key, both on handheld remotes and tablets and phones. And that's how you're going to register a system. Now, if today's the first time that you've seen MX Home Pro, you'll create a user account. And what you'll do is you'll be able to put in the programming key and then start out. Notice I have Hank Eisengrein. You'll see that I was registered to H. Eisengrein at Universal Remote. See the version number 1105.1. If you don't see that, clear your browser cache if you've been to mxhomepro.com before. We've done some recent updates. The beginning of November, we added a new HEOS player module. So, I'm going to use existing system, and I'm going to show you folks how we're going to build quickly and easily. Now remember, you can program faster than me because I'm going to do some talking during the steps. Now you'll notice I have various different logins that I've used. I'm going to use my main login, H. Eisengrein at Universal Remote. This software is fast because it'll remember previously entered fields, which means that you're going to get a lot of feedback as you start to use the software over time. And you'll see in a little while when we build devices how quickly I can add things that I've previously labeled from other classes. The dealer jobs list shows everything I've done going back to November 2016. And you can build all these different jobs and save them in the cloud. So for example, if you're going to Dr. Jones's house today, you're going to use a new H500 hub. You're going to hardwire that to the router or the switch, and then you're going to link that in the cloud to Dr. Jones. I'm going to go down here and use this test system. Now you notice I created this on April 17th this year. That's when I was doing alpha testing for the R700 remote. But then just last week, we had webinars on Thursday, and so I use this, and that's what we're going to do now. You'll notice it's got all the key information. And now you'll see a dashboard of the home overview. Top of my screen is a progress bar that'll be moving throughout our demonstration. So I call this the living room. If I wanted to change the name, say to equipment rack, I could just hit the pencil. I have an H500, and then I have an R700 in my master bedroom suite in my night table, and then I have your R500 in my patio. Now where is this? My house in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I think I know you, but let's put the face with the voice. And there's your buddy Hank. So, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to look and see. So, in my test system, I have a 55-inch Samsung, new 8000 series. I have a Time Warner Spectrum Aris cable box, DVR. I have a Roku 4K Ultra, and I have an Integra DRX4. We're not going to use these. I'm leaving these for my reference system. Everything we're going to do right now is URC demo. So you'll see here's a TV. Since popularity of Comcast Xfinity, I used the X1 box, and I used a Sony 4K Blu-ray. These three devices we're going to operate with IR emitters, of which there are 4 on the back of your H500 hub, and they can be addressed like other URC base stations. My Denon Integra, Onkyo Integra DRX4, I'm going to use that over the LAN, over IP. So after I configure that properly on the network, I'm going to hook that up with the LAN connection from my H500. We're going to use a two-way module for the R700 and R500 handheld remotes, and I'm going to use the popular Roku 4K Ultra. Thermostats, we have Ecobee, Honeywell, and I also have Nest. We're going to create some timed events. There's an astronomical clock built into the H500 hub. You set up the time zone when you initially install it. So we're going to make an alarm clock. We're going to make a push button. And then voice assistant is free. We're going to use the popular Amazon voice. And so you'll see Alexa, turn on lunchtime music. So to get started, I'm going to go to trash can. And I'm going to get rid of these from the cloud. And you'll see the progress bar at the top of my screen. And then you'll see things will disappear. And so we're going to recreate this 6-device system. And we're going to use two-way modules for the tablets and phones. We're going to use apps from the native manufacturer with the app launcher. And I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to create all these events in an MX HomePro system. Now you can have 8 rooms. We're going to be programming the living room. That's what it says at the top of my screen. And you can have 24 hubs. Now we're using one hub already, which means we can add an additional 23. And we can always use any hub in our project from any room. Hank 3 seems pretty limiting. Well, if you want to put a central equipment rack, like I have one in a linen closet, and you may say I need 5 hubs for my job, you could say equipment rack, hub 1, 2, 3, and you could say equipment rack extended, or 2, or auxiliary, and put 2 more, and use all of those. So you'll see it's quick and easy for us to program a very large system with affordable MX HomePro. And remember that HomePro, with the hub and the free apps, starts at $180 US dealer cost, $300 retail. Now we're going to take a look at the program menu. You'll see add a remote to a room. You can have 10 remotes in a room. I just said you can have 8 rooms. That's 80 remotes. It's a hell of a lot of remotes. Theoretically, you can have more than 10 in a room, but that's what URC headquarters has tested. Figuring more than 2 remotes in a room is not really something we're going to see on average. Add entertainment devices to the system. That's your database. Now this is the same database for all URC software, but it looks different. So I'm going to show you how you apply and utilize popular devices. We don't use the word punch through in this software. Set up volume control is how we're going to set up the volume control. I said you can add additional controllers, so if we have one in the living room, we could put 23 more. We're going to use popular 2-way devices, and you can program 8 rooms. So if I was going to add an R700 or an R500 to my system, I would use add a remote to the room. I showed you already in my overview that I already have one of each in my system. Entertainment devices is our database. Televisions, still very popular. Cable boxes, satellite receivers, we'll look at both. Blu-ray player, media devices, sound bars, AV receivers and amplifiers including multi-zone, projectors, lights, camera DVR systems, DVR like the popular TiVo, CD player, and a matrix switcher. So let's go to televisions, and you'll notice when I have an active choice, the next button will be bright blue. If I didn't complete all the fields, it would be grayed out. Now I'm going to name this for the project. Instead of having to write webinar, I'm going to call it URC Demo Television. Notice from previous classes or previous programming that I've got a listing. And this is how you can save time. Now, when we go to the manufacturer's list, it's the typical A through Z. Maybe you're an LG person, or maybe you're selling some of the new Sonys. But in my house, I have a brand new Samsung 55 8000 NU. So I'll type in Samsung, and notice under the blue bar is a box that says Create Custom Driver. There's a feature in MX HomePro called File Explorer where you could save individual devices as well as complete templates. And as of the second week of August, with a URC cloud update, MX HomePro will allow you to save IP, IR, and even Pronto Hex drivers that you could use over and over again. I'm going to click Samsung, and you'll notice when I click Next, it comes up with a basic code set, but this is not everything available because there's actually 40 code sets for Samsung. And you'll see there's a radio button for IR and network. For this demonstration today, I'm going to use an emitter. I'm going to click Search All Models. And you'll notice if I scroll down, lots and lots of Samsung TVs, plus the generic code sets. One would be an ancient 4x3 TV, and 40 would be the newest code set added by the URC database team. Now I'm going to use IR from Hank's Tips and Tricks class. If you have a Sony 4K TV, like the new F series, the rear panel IR input is a stereo plug. Now I said I had a 55-inch, and you notice URC's database is grouped by size. So in my patio, I have a new NU 8000. If you're familiar with URC software from the past, you'll notice the IR database navigator. If I test all codes, this will show me what's in the code set for this TV. And this is a relatively high-end TV, so it's got discrete power and discrete inputs. I'm not going to use the built-in Samsung Smart features today's demonstration, but rest assured if you did want those, here is your button for your Smart Hub. I'm going to use the TV today as a monitor. When I save, I chose the option for IR. So you're going to notice which one of the 4 IR ports am I going to assign. Hey, Hank, we got a tight budget on this job. I got 5 devices. I can't afford another hub. No problem. You can use a commercially available double-headed emitter. So the TV is going to be assigned through the H500 with the first port. Now there's an exciting feature built in called Grace Note favorite channels that are real-time now playing. But I just said to you a moment ago, in today's demonstration, I'm going to use the TV purely as a monitor. So I'm going to use HDMI 1 and just power commands for the TV. So I'm not going to use favorite channels, but we will on our next device. Watch the progress bar in the spinning circle on my screen, and you'll notice a green dialog box. When it's successful, that means we've just added the URC demo TV. Now I'm going to go and check on my home overview, and you'll notice there's the Samsung, the exact model number. We added it. There's no favorites. We can change the name here, and we can remove it. And remember, you can program faster than me when I'm not talking through every step. Now we'll look at satellite first. And if you're in the US, there's Dish and DirecTV. For DirecTV, the first code set is ID1. That's all you need. If you're using ID2, second code set. Well, Hank, don't I have to look for the names like the Genie and all those different things? No, because DirecTV codes have been the same since 2006. So if I was doing Dish, you'll see that they have popular names like Hopper and Joey. Which brings up an interesting point about the voice control remotes from devices like Dish Network or the popular Xfinity X1 or Cox Digital Cable or maybe Altice One or Rogers A. What's going to happen is you're going to use that voice remote for the customer for that device, and then you're going to use URC for everything else. Now, I happen to have Time Warner Spectrum with an Aris box, but I am going to show you a very popular and problematic device, which is controlling the Comcast Xfinity X1. Now, the AT&T UVerse and the X1 are very sensitive to emitter placement. And I'm using a DVR, so this is going to be our URC demo DVR. And I'll go for the manufacturer. There is a listing under Xfinity, but I'll go to Comcast. Make sure when you get to the screen to always scroll down. We'll search all models. We're going to hook up an IR emitter. Remember, I said it's very finicky. So the X1 box is very, very detailed as far as your placement. This is a toggle-only activated device. So you'll notice when I go to the IR database navigator, there's no discrete power on and off. There's only all power. And we're going to use this in the software. And unlike our older products where you had to work around, MX HomePro is going to automatically track the power of a device. Now we're going to assign the second emitter because we assigned emitter number 1 to the TV. And I mentioned Grace Note. People are like, what's Grace Note? Well, it's a company that provides you with all your album art. If you're streaming music, if you're looking at movies online, in my Spectrum Time Warner cable system, it'll tell me what's planned with the movies. So I set it up initially, and I put in whether I'm in the US or Canada I put in my location. Technically, I'm in Leland, North Carolina, outside of Wilmington. Hank, my customer cut the cord. Well, it'll show you over-the-air broadcasts as well locally. Now, it's 5 digits. Don't put in a zip +4 because that's not going to work. But you'll see when I enter in my zip code, it'll give me a list, and I'll choose Time Warner Digital Cable Leland. It'll populate, and it'll automatically give the dealer and the customer the ability to add or subtract favorites. Now, fear not when you get a message that says after 12 months there'll be a charge. I'm happy to say after 25 months, URC has never charged 1 penny. What do I mean by real-time now playing? Right now, if I hit ESPN, it would show me on the screen of my remotes or my tablet or phone that NFL Live was on. Or if I hit Food Channel, it would show me that Pioneer Woman was on. So we click Finish because we've added favorite channels. Progress bar at the top of the screen, and just that fast, we added the DVR. And notice here, it's highlighted that there are favorite channels coming from that. Now, I know, Blu-ray players are sitting on a rack collecting dust because everybody's streaming. But there are still some folks who want a Blu-ray player. Maybe they have young kids and they want to watch Disney movies. So we'll go in here and we'll go and look, and I'm going to pick a popular brand such as Sony. Know how your devices operate, because remember, one of these 4K Ultra up-converting Blu-rays may take up to 30 seconds to warm up. This is going to be the third device we're using via IR emitter. I'm going to scroll down to a popular new model, which is the X800. Just like our cable box, this does not have discrete power. See, there's a toggle power. Now, I could use play to turn it on, and power to turn it off, and play to turn it on and play the movie. But I don't have to do that with MX HomePro because there's a help button on tablets, phones, and the remote controls. When I hit save, the software allows me to assign the third IR emitter. And because we're programming a Blu-ray DVD type device, it knows there's no tuner built in, so it's not going to ask me about favorite channels. And just that quickly, we added that device. I programmed the TV, the DVR, and the Blu-ray player with IR emitters. I'm going to pick the selection for AV receivers and amplifiers. Now, you may have a Yamaha, a Denon, a Marantz, a Pioneer, Elite, Sony ES, an Onkyo. My house, I happen to have an Integra. So I'm going to pick this URC Demo AVR. I'm going to put the Integra I'm going to scroll down, search all models, and notice the factory default is IR. I said we're going to do this over the LAN. Now, another Hank tips and tricks. Before you do an install, I would open up the television and your AVR, and I would hardwire them to your network and update firmware before you get to the job site, unless you want to waste 5 hours waiting for an AV receiver to update via Wi-Fi. Now, receivers have a lot more sections to them, so you'll notice when we find my DRX4, there's Zone 1, which is the main. There's Tuner for Zone 1, and there's Net USB. If we were using Zone 2, you'd have Zone 2 main, Zone 2 Tuner, and Zone 2 Net USB. When I highlight this, it says Test IP, because I selected the network controlled option. How would we do that? Well, first we would have to configure the DRX4 on your network and have it active. And then we would send the commands over the network via the H500 hub. When I hit next, it wants to know the location on my network with my IP address. And from previous programming, you see I have other saved IP addresses. And the software is smart enough that it knows for Onkyo and Integra 60128 is your port number. And see these little arrows if I had to change my port assignment, but that's what your factory default is for your Integra. And now we've added our fourth and final device in devices. So you'll notice TV, DVR, Blu-ray with an IR emitter, and then we have our LAN-controlled IP-based receiver. We're going to skip over the volume for now because I'm going to add more devices. Now, I said the R700 and R500 handheld remote uses URC two-way modules. For your tablets and the phones, you're going to use the app launcher feature of MX HomePro, and you're going to use the native app from the manufacturer. Lutron has the new RA2 Select system. You would use the Caseta module for RA2 Select. You'll see in-wall air conditioners and radiant heat is cool automation. Philips Hue, very popular light bulbs and LED strips. Sonos, this is an approved app by Sonos. You'll see HEOS was just added to the update in November. Lutron, RA2, which also supports HomeWorks QS. Roku, probably our best module, which I'm going to add in a minute. Bose SoundTouch, Ecobee thermostat, Nest thermostat, Honeywell 9000 series Wi-Fi thermostat. And if I added the URC TRF ZW2 Z-Wave module, I'd have 2,100 products in Z-Wave from 360 companies. Now, this is a module, not a device, so it's going to show up different in our home overview. And it's going to tell me that when I put in Demo Roku 4K Ultra, I have a location on my network. Once again, the module's smart enough to know that the Roku is 8060. And it's going to say there may be additional settings required on the remote control after download. So you may get prompted to respond or access your Roku account or your settings. Once we add this, you'll notice the progress bar, but there is not going to be a device listing. Why is that? Because you're going to see here, when we scroll down on the home overview, we've added this as a two-way device. Remember the distinction. Tablets and phones are going to use the Roku app with the app launcher. R700 and R500 are going to use two-way module. We'll add one more. Popular device would be a thermostat. We said Honeywell 9000 Wi-Fi series, Ecobee, and I'll add the popular Nest, although I have a Honeywell in my own house. And we're going to call this URC Demo HVAC, because that's easier to spell than thermostat. And you'll notice the same information. So in your Nest account, you may have to confirm some settings, or you may get a notification that you have to confirm. And we hit finish. And just that quickly, you've added a Roku and a Nest. Hank, there has to be more to it than that. Yes, there is. When you're logged into your account and you go to help, you're going to see a lot of instruction manuals. So you go here to two-way devices integration, which is terrible English, but that's what we did. And you'll see examples of how to program things like your Lutron with your JSON information. Or if I scroll down, you'll see some other devices. HEOS is going to have a new manual that they'll be posting soon. And so this is where you get all this information. If you don't have an account with MX HomePro and you're not logged in, you're not going to see all these manuals. So you can go here to the URC control room, MX HomePro, Getting Started, Software and Resources, and then scroll down here and there's that Advanced Devices Integration Manual. Once we close this, we're going to go back and we're going to say, how do we assign the volume for today's system? So if you have an inexpensive system, maybe you're using the speakers built into the TV. If you're doing a moderately priced system, maybe you're doing something like the soundbar. But today we're going to use my DRX4, which is an Integra AVR. So everything that says demo except the thermostat, because that has no volume, I'm going to click on. And what's this? Entertainment home menu is like the top menu, the main page, if you will, the home page. When I click next, it's going to ask, where am I getting the sound from? And today we're saying the demo AVR. Now, when I went back here, I don't have to select the AVR because it's going to be where it's coming from. And you'll see currently selected. And remember, was two-way module for the Roku. So we got here Roku, plus we have these devices and the top or main page. And I go to the AVR, and when I hit finish, just that quickly, you'll see a little loudspeaker assigned everywhere the AVR volume. So there's my Roku, there's my Blu-ray, there's my cable box DVR, and there's my television. Just that fast, we did punch through, which is set up volume control. So now you've completed this page. So you're going to go and make some of the magic of one-touch automation. Now, we're going to build 4 different types of macros today. And you're going to see turn off everything in the system, build an automated activity, create a new button with a new name, and we'll build a couple of different timed events. So maybe you wanted to do something like a sleep timer. I'm going to build an alarm clock. I'm going to build a button that's automatically going to assign an action on a button press. So if you want to turn off everything in the room, this is your macro window. Hank, that looks awfully different from what I'm used to. Yes, indeed. Now, we can turn off the sound first with the AVR, or we can turn off the picture first with the TV. I'm going to turn off the sound first. Go to the AVR. This is a high-end AVR. It's got discrete power on and off. Notice some manufacturers may say standby. And I click the Add button, and now you're starting to build your macro step by step. I'm going to go to our television, and I'm going to take power off. I'm going to add a short delay. Why are you doing a delay, Hank? You're turning things off. Because I'm going to create what's called an anchor for the TV. So I'm going to go to HDMI 1. I'm going to add that. I'm going to grab this and drag it all the way to the top. So I'm going to make sure the TV is on HDMI 1. Turn off the integral receiver. I'm going to put a little bit of a delay. And then I'm going to turn off the TV. Now, we said that our Xfinity X1 DVR had no discrete power, so we're going to pull down all power. Well, Hank, wouldn't this get out of sync? We're going to have a help button that's going to allow you to track power in MX HomePro. And we said that our Blu-ray player also was toggle only power. And we'll go here and we'll find that power command and we'll add that. I want you to notice that add jump to is grayed out, because where are we going to jump to? The top or main page menu. So the software is smart enough to know in this step for power off, revert back to default on main page. We hit next. It's going to ask me which devices need power. Now technically, since the TV and the AVR have discrete power, all you would really need is DVR and the Blu-ray player. And now, for the DVR, we're going to pull down that all power. And you'll see for the Blu-ray player, it automatically went to the database and it selected power. See how that smart feature was automatically pulled down? Now we finished that turn off macro. And we made a secure help button. So if my cable box is off, I can power it back up. Let's pick an activity. Now, I know everybody's streaming nowadays, but let's just say we're going to watch a disc and a Blu-ray. You know, it's holiday time. We want to be nostalgic. So we're going to pick the Blu-ray, click Next. Now, your AVR is going to act as the matrix switcher, and we're going to use the Blu-ray input listed in this database as BD/DVD. Now, in modern AVRs, you don't have to use power on first. You can just pick an input. If you have a Yamaha, you can use a scene. So we're going to go to our demo AVR. We're going to pick an input. And I said I was going to use Blu-ray DVD. I'm going to add that. At this point, you could do surround mode, subwoofer levels, any changes you wanted in your system. TV, or demo TV, had power on. I'll add my delay. You have to measure devices. I'm picking 4 seconds as an arbitrary number. Remember, I always wanted that HDMI 1 input. Well, Hank, didn't you just do that when you turned the system off? Yeah, but I want to make sure it's always right. And then we're going to go to our Blu-ray player. And you'll see here, there's play, but we have our power command. And since I'm turning on the Blu-ray, I don't need to do anything with the cable box DVR. Next, disable this screen. No. Show automated activity. Do that for older folks who don't understand how the system works. Show only when the help button is selected. At the top of your tablet and phone, and on your R700 and R500, there is a help button. So what do I need? If I'm doing internal smart features, I use navigation for the TV. And you can disable this if you want. We're not using the DVR on the Blu-ray macro, so we're going to use Blu-ray power. No Blu-ray input unless you have an Oppo. And then we do need power and the correct input for the AVR. Notice the software is smart enough that it went in the database for the Samsung TV and it picked power on. But it doesn't know what input you selected. And remember that we were using this as a monitor, so we have HDMI 1. Blu-ray, it automatically picked toggle power. The AVR, it automatically picked the power on. And remember, we used BD/DVD as the input for this. Now it's going to confirm that you want to finish. And just that quickly, without me talking, it would have been faster, you made a watch Blu-ray. Now let's go and pick another option, which is create a new button. What's an entertainment button? Well, that's a graphic. So you'll notice here, it's Monday night, so we'll say watch football. Now I'm going to use the cable SAT input on my AVR. And once again, I can adjust surround sound levels or subwoofer or anything like that. Now I'm going to go back to my TV. I'm going to power it on. I'll add a short delay. Remember, you have to test for your delays. And then I'm going to go into TV and get that HDMI 1 that we're using as our input. I'm going to go to the DVR and I pull down all power. And then I'm going to pick a specific channel. So on my cable system, channel 33 would be ESPN. And I'm going to add a delay of 0.5. That's called an interstep delay. And I'm going to go down and drag it up between. And then after the second 3 for channel 33, I'm going to go to the enter button on the DVR. I'm going to add that. Now, for the first time today, you saw that the add jump to is available. Why? Because we created a graphic that says watch football. The software has no idea what that's associated with. So we're going to go say it's associated with a DVR. And just like CCP, the jump goes last, unlike total control. Next. Now, if you were tracking, now playing button, you could go to special functions, true false, or if else. Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to say TV, input, smart hub, DVR power, and AVR power and input. And watch again how it automatically picks for the TV. We go and scroll down to HDMI 1. Go and scroll down on the Xfinity X1 DVR to all power. The software automatically picks power on for the AVR. And then we're going to go and we were using the cable/SAT input. And we finished that activity. let's make two more. There's an astronomical clock built in, so I want an alarm clock. I'm deep in sleep with some mystical dream, and I need an alarm clock to wake me up. So we'll just say we'll play some music from the AVR. And I'll go get a network command. And I'll add that. And now it asks me a question. When manually selected by the user, and I'd use that option if I was going to build something like a sleep timer. We'll make one of those buttons in a minute. But we'll go here and we'll say at a specific time of day. So it's 7 a.m. for the work week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to wake up to music from my AVR on my network. So we'll wake up at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday to Mastodon. And just that quickly, you created an alarm clock. Now, I mentioned if we go back to automate activities and schedule event, we can make something like a sleep timer. But let's say we'll make lunchtime music. Now, it just so happens I have a USB stick on the rear panel USB input on my DRX4 with some Allman Brothers music that my buddy Dave Davis gave me. So I can go here to AVR. I can scroll down and pick USB rear. And I can save that, hit next. When manually selected by the user. Why? Because lunchtime is different every day. Unless exactly at 1 o'clock you get up all the time and go to lunch. So, now you just finished that activity. And look on your overview what we did. We put a 55-inch Samsung TV with an IR emitter. We added an Xfinity X1 cable box DVR, and we added favorite channels for that. We used an IR emitter on a 4K Sony Blu-ray. I configured my DRX4 first in the network, and then once it was assigned, I used that over the LAN, and I'm using that on IP. For my R700 and R500 handheld remotes, I used a Roku 4K two-way module and a Nest two-way module. Remember that for the tablets and phones, you're using the native app. We created a Monday through Friday 7 a.m. alarm clock. We created a physical button that says lunchtime. Now, I could have created a button that says sleep timer. Well, Hank, how would that work? Well, on the remote or your tablet or phone would be a series of little questions that would ask the customer, do you want to turn sleep timer 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 120 minutes, or cancel? So what's next? Let's go back to the advanced menu, and let's go down here to where it says integrate an external service. When we add Google Home Assistant, there'll be a radio button that'll say Google Home. You use the skills turn on and turn off. And I'm going to say, Alexa, turn on lunchtime music. And I'll go here and I'll pick my demo AVR. And let's say we're using something from the network. Maybe you're using something like Deezer. And we'll add that. Go down here and hit next. And I finish. And just that quickly, you added a skill, which is Alexa, turn on lunchtime music. So now I've got two options. I've got a physical button that I could press that says lunchtime, or I've got my voice command. Remember, this is free. All you need is something like a dot. You don't have to have an echo or a show. So let's go back and look at some other things we have. Learn codes from an IR remote. How do you do that? With fresh batteries in a factory remote. Hank tips and tricks. Always have fresh batteries. Now, our head engineer for MX HomePro, Peter Pittner, recommends if you're learning a new device, learn a couple of buttons at a time and save them in the cloud. Don't try to learn 60 buttons at once because you may time out the H500 hub. Peter also recommends hardwiring the hub for when you're learning. Now, if we were going to learn a button into an existing device in today's system, we'd go here. Let's say we picked that Blu-ray player. We put fresh batteries in the Sony Blu-ray remote. You'll see there's the MAC address of the hub that's on the network. I'd go to that Netflix button, and you see I'd click Learn, and then I would enter the code from the Sony factory remote into the window on the front of the H500 hub. Remember that the R700 and H500 together, or the R500 and H500 together, they're always going to learn IR through the window on the H500, not in the handheld remotes. If I go back here to Advanced Menu, you'll see Edit Automated Activities. And these are my macros. So you'll notice if I had something here like a Blu-ray, there's our Blu-ray. And so I can add steps, orient, change anything I want with this. And I found that under Edit Your Automated Activities. So you see here's our Watch Football that we made with channel 33. So that's Edit Your Macros. If I want to go and look at the graphics on an R700 or R500, you'll get what URC refers to as a wide button. You get 3 per page. Your tablets and your phones, you'll have a lot more buttons. You can scroll down. You can see we created a button here today called Watch Football. You'll also see Show Scheduled Entertainment Events. So we did lunchtime and an alarm clock. That's hard to read, isn't it? So I click on it. It's highlighted in yellow. I click the pencil. I click Change. And it goes from A to Z. And I'll pick something that's pretty plain. I'm going to leave the text. I'm going to say Done. And just that quickly we create that. Lunchtime. We can go hit Change. And just that quickly, I edited the graphics. Now, remember we made a Blu-ray today? And it says URC Demo Blu-ray. I can go here. I can find the picture of the Blu-ray logo. And I can choose the option for Hide Text. And just that easily, we made this Blu-ray. Now, DVR, and go here, scroll down to Xfinity, hide the text, and I did that. And you could take any of these graphics in your program, and you could drag them and drop them and put them anywhere you want. So we can bring these to the top. We can go grab that Blu-ray and bring that up. And remember, you're going to see 3 of the wide buttons on your R700 and R500. You're going to see a lot more buttons on the tablets and phones. Now the progress bar at the top. And you'll notice that we can go here and we can edit a macro. Automated activities. We go here and edit a device layout. If you're a long-time URC programmer, this is edit and label buttons. So let's say we go to the TV. We'll do something from Hank's Tips and Tricks. This is popular. I'm going to take this aspect button and I'm going to change the word and I'm going to call it picture size, because that makes a heck of a lot more sense to most customers. Now we can rearrange, we can drag and drop. I can click this 3D and click these dual arrows and say move to another page. Select a button to swap with, so I could say 3D. And then we'll go over here at page 3 and maybe we'll say USB, click swap buttons, and you see now we put USB on page 1, and we put 3D on page 3. Well, Hank, we're not supporting 3D anymore. Highlight it and hit hide button. You notice I can change the repeats here. If I say finish, and I want to edit something like, say, my AVR. If you're doing a system today and you don't have a phono, don't delete it. Just go and hide it. So edit and label buttons, pick a device. Remember, old folks don't understand page flips, so move the frequently used buttons to the main page. And you can go through your code set and see all of your different options. And remember, I can save devices. So let's take a look at that. Now that we've programmed our system, you'll see that I added 3 devices with IR emitters: Samsung TV, the DVR cable box, the Blu-ray player. I configured over the LAN my DRX4. For my handheld remotes, I made the Roku and the Nest. Remember, for tablets and phones, I would use the Nest and Roku app. I did a timed event on a schedule with the astronomical clock for alarm clock. I also built a push button, which is lunchtime. Remember, I could have done a push button that says sleep timer too. And I used Alexa voice control. So let's go up here and see where it says File Explorer. Now I can export this whole living room from today's project. I can export a specific device we created today. I can import a whole project, or I can import a specific device. Let's look at import from a template. You can start programming at your office, save that program in the cloud, then when you physically get to the job location, hardwire the H500, you can go to the cloud and you can now export that template. So I can import and export a template. So if I say I'm going to save something and export it to the cloud, then I'm going to go to the job site. I'm going to import from the cloud. Now, for specific devices, you see over time I've saved things like an Apple TV 4th generation, Yamaha soundbar. See, here's DirecTV receiver. Here's a new Sony F-Series TVs. Maybe you put in an A9F. Specific cable company, I was in South Florida, so Atlantic Broadband. Where I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, there's Spectrum Time Warner, and there's a local cable company called ATMC. See here, I imported a Denon 3500H, and I created that Sony 4K player that we did today, the X800. If I go up here, you'll see there's account settings. I can change the email. Peter Pittner uses a service called Mailinator to make fake, phony, bogus emails. You'll see here if I go to system settings, time zone, replace a base station. People ask me, Hank, can I reset an H500? Yes, with a paperclip. There's a tiny reset hole at the bottom. You press and hold that, and you'll see the lights will take about 3 minutes to reboot. Switch to a different system in my jobs list. Delete something totally from the cloud. Or on the home button on the remotes, change from top menu, main page, if you will, the home page, to a back button. So we're right on time with an hour, coming up with MX HomePro. We have a couple of resources we'll show you. First is tech support. Now, coming up on holidays here in the U.S. and around the world, U.S. tech support will be open until 5 o'clock on Friday this week, even though URC headquarters will be closing at 2 o'clock. Same thing will happen on New Year's Eve weekend before New Year's Eve, since this year we're talking Tuesdays. Hank at Universal Remote. You can email me at any time. Weekends, nights, holidays. Now, when I go on vacation, I don't answer your messages. Peter Pittner, based in Buffalo, New York. Peter's worked with us about 8 years now. He's in charge of everything MX HomePro. It is his baby. And he loves to help dealers out. When you call URC Tech Support, 800-901-0800, make sure you write down who you're talking to. Everybody is their first initial and their last name. Now, today's class was MX HomePro. So what you want to do is you want to be able to give your email credentials for your dealer account, and then the tech support professional you're talking to can actually go into the cloud and look at your system setting. There's also a utility called urchelp.com. Simple help. It's like a go to my PC. If you type into urchelp.com and fill out the forms, someone from URC Tech Support can also jump on your computer and help you out. Maybe you need something like a battery or a battery door cover. The lovely Alice Webb, AWEBB, Sarah Engstrom, enters your orders if you're factory direct with URC. If you find something that's not right in the database, email me, hank@universalremote.com, or IR database. And if you've never been in the control room, go to installer 1A4B and create your own code. Now here, if we go back to the URC control room, different from the portal, you'll notice there's a More tab, YouTube channel, and we have recorded webinars. And so Elvin Lopez, Larry Zalata, Andrew Salanitro, and myself have recorded webinars. And you can see MX HomePro webinars on demand for free. Last up, we want to thank everybody. Make sure you remember that we have our special for December, $100 off package systems. And we believe that MX HomePro is absolutely the best under $1,000 smart home system. Now, for $300 retail, you get free apps, free Grace Note favorite channels, off-site programming, off-site control with the H500 hub. When you add the popular R500 remote, you're at $600 retail with all those features and two-way feedback on the screen of the remote. You can even see IP cameras with a JPEG feed over Z-Wave, such as the camera from the popular HoloVision Doorbird. And then our elegant R700 remote, tabletop charger, lithium battery, backlit buttons. How do we get to $1,000? We add the TRF ZW2, and that gives you a 999 system. So I want to thank everybody. On behalf of URC, I'm Hank Eisengrein. Hope everybody has a great holiday season, whatever holidays you're celebrating. Myself, Bobby Bradley, and Hart will be back on the road doing live trainings at regional distributors in 2019. We'll be doing more live webinars, and we're also looking forward to seeing you at distributor events. Any questions, type into the questions dialog box. I want to thank everybody for attending today.